personally collected these stories over the years from family, friends, acquaintances, coworkers, friends of friends, strangers. They won't be heard anywhere else. All are allegedly true. These are the tales from the Moribund.
This story takes place on February 1st, 2009. It was the day of Super Bowl 43, the game between the Steelers and Cardinals. I remember rooting for the underdog Cardinals. They had a great season led by their quarterback, a well past his prime Kurt Warner. Though it seemed as they might pull out the win, their dreams were dashed by a final drive culminating in a spectacular catch in the corner of the end zone by wide receiver Santonio Holmes, sealing the fate for the Cardinals. I remember feeling pretty bummed and a little upset, but had I known the events that would unfold as the night drew on, I would have probably elected to sit on the edge of my bed, shaking with fright and anticipation, and skip the game altogether. I poured myself a cup of water from the sink and headed upstairs to add it to the collection of cups that I had accumulated on my nightstand from earlier in the week. After brushing my teeth and finishing up in the bathroom, I grabbed what was most likely a Stephen King novel and picked up where I left off the following day. It was a long time ago, and I may have forgotten a few details, but I do remember having a marked uneasiness while being in my room that night. After around an hour of reading, I felt my eyelids grow heavy, and I put the book down after folding over the page to keep my place. Soon after, I drifted off into sleep. What followed in my sleep was a succession of truly disturbing nightmares. They weren't your run-of-the-mill being chased by a giant crab or awaiting a towering tsunami from a beach house balcony kind of nightmares. No. These felt as if something truly evil bypassed playing on my deepest fears and wanted to show me something. The dream I can most clearly remember started out with me running out of gas on the highway in the middle of the night. It was a humid and sticky night, and the air felt almost palpable. The next thing I know, a car pulls up behind me. Just writing this part down, I can feel the hairs slowly standing up on my arms. One of the headlights was out, and there were two men in the car, but I couldn't make out either of their faces. I turn back around and I see Sean looking through the passenger side window at me, beckoning me. Sean was someone I knew from the neighboring town that I grew up in. He was what many would refer to as a bad apple. He robbed, stole, and was the type of guy that would drive around with his equally thuggish friends at night, looking for a hapless stranger to jump and rob. I knew him from parties and through friends, and I even wound up buying Vicodin off him a few times years later due to poor judgment, a bad habit, and because he was the only one around at the time. Not surprisingly, one of those times he took money from me under the guise of picking up for me, then ghosted me. I was so angry at myself for being so stupid, and I swore if I ever ran into him I would break his jaw. On New Year's Eve, a month before this story takes place, Sean was drunk and on drugs when he stumbled across a busy street and was struck by a car, killing him instantly. I spent so much time being mad and wanted to get back at him, and now he was dead, and now here he is, in my dream. "Hey," he said, "come over here, I have something for you." I get out of the car, and as I approach him, I'm struck with an overwhelming sense of dread. He cracks a grin. "I have those things over here for you, bro. Come on." I look into his eyes, and they were pitch black, soulless, and I felt as if I was in the presence of pure evil. He was leading me down an embankment into the darkness of the tree line. "Follow me." I look back at the car he came from, and the men were gone. Just then I hear a deafening sound like 1,000 vacuums going off at the same time, and I wake up in my bed, and I am completely paralyzed. The sound continues howling in my ears, and light in my room is flashing like a strobe, and there's a dark figure darting around my room in tandem with the strobe. I try to turn my head and move my legs, but I can do no more than flinch. Then I feel my blankets falling away at my sides. I'm lifting off my bed. As I get closer to the ceiling, my body is spun around with my face looking at the floor, and suddenly I was dropped. I was plummeting towards the floor, and my face was headed towards the bottom dresser drawer that I had left open, and just as I made impact, I woke up in my bed a second time. I woke up screaming, panting, covered in sweat, terrified. At 21 years old, I got up, ran downstairs, and woke up my parents. I was incoherent, babbling, and hysterical. They knew that whatever happened to me, I couldn't have been making it up. In the days and weeks to follow, I suffered more attacks from this entity. I stayed up for days at a time and crashed at friends' houses. Anything to avoid being by myself in that room at night. I've never been so high-strung or dread-stricken in all of my life. I'm 34 now, and have suffered from at least 150 episodes of sleep paralysis since then. And while none of them were pleasant, and many of them were memorable, there was something that separated those first attacks from the rest. It's something that is difficult to put into words, besides the ones that came after were disturbing, terrifying. This was demonic. Something that I left out before. One night during the first week of those attacks, I awoke paralyzed, with a force firmly pressing me into the mattress, and a voice speaking into my ear. A guttural, twisted language that seemed to be communicating to me. When I regained control of my body, I got up and went into the dimly lit bathroom. I ran the water and splashed some in my face. As I reached for the cloth to dry my face, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My pupils were completely dilated, and I saw my face morph. That's the only way I could think to explain it. Remember in The Ring, when the guy watches the tape and his face morphs when he's on camera, then goes back to normal when he moves away from it? That's about as close as I can get to describing what I saw in the mirror. I looked like Sean. I think something evil was in me, not possessing me, but accessing me. It was showing me something. Since then, I developed a phobia of mirrors in the dark. I put a shirt on the bedroom mirror and turn over my wife's vanity mirror every night. I even ask for extra sheets and cover the mirrors inside our hotel rooms when we travel. It's become routine, and I don't feel any fear or dread going through the daily ritual of nighttime mirror covering. But in the back of my mind, I think that if I catch the reflection of the moonlight in a mirror, and I feel it pulling my attention to peer into it, in some way, shape, or form, I'll see it again.